Tech team coached by John Heisman in the season finale by a 6-5 score.
All right.
And then Frank Leahy, another famous name in Notre Dame history, was a head coach at Boston College in 39 and 40. His Boston College team lost to Clemson in the 40 Cotton Bowl. That was Clemson's first bowl game. Mm-hmm. He coached at Notre Dame. Went on to Notre Dame in a 41 season, and he still is the second winningest coach in college football history on a percentage basis, trailing only Newt Rockne. And then let's see.
I'll throw in something important while you're looking.
Go right ahead.
This is really, really big stuff. I was the PA announcer in '77 in Death Valley.
I was there.
When,
I was a freshman.
When
now,
they
Claire,
came here.
I know you're old and your brain has gotten a little crusty, but
yes.
I keep hearing chatter, and I don't remember. I remember Divine writing the letter the week before the game, and the letter leaked out. And at that time, it was a massive crowd of 53,000.
I cannot tell you about I cannot.
But I've heard more than one person say that, and I know he got 2 straight 15-yard penalties.
One for picking up the flag.
Yes, mm-hmm. and he did, I think, show his rear on the sideline. But I've heard more than one person say that he showed the Clemson crowd that Notre Dame was number one. I don't remember.
Yeah, he did that. He showed them their number one with the middle finger.
He did.
He did do
that.
He did do that.
See, I thought that was hyperbole. I did not remember
he did
that.
It. Yeah, he said Notre Dame's number one, and he used his middle finger to hold up to the Clemson.
That was after the game?
No, that was during all of this going on here. Okay. Now, I'll tell you another thing. All right, so I was the PA guy in '77. When we went up there, a lot of people think next year. It was 2 years later.
79. It was
79. We went up there.
Yeah.
And when Clemson finally won, a lot of Notre Dame people were shaking Clemson's hand saying, "You helped us get rid of Divine." Mm-hmm. And they did. Mm-hmm. Now, that was the first time they had lost their home closer since World War II. Mm-hmm. And remember that part. I think Tim may have been the one who brought that up.
It was, I think, in something like 45 years, they'd only lost their last home game 3 times.
Yeah.
But
and I think the guy playing quarterback had been a roommate with Tim at Notre Dame.
May have been.
Now, Tim was older, but right. I'm almost sure that Tim said that guy had been his roommate. And and then another thing that this old beat up old press box they had in the day.
I was there. Yeah.
Big old. It was nothing. Mm-hmm. One restroom. Mm-hmm. Had to stand in line at halftime. Now, halftime, when you're the color analyst, halftime's your time you got to talk.
Right.
Phillips, Jim Phillips say, "All right, hurry up now, I got to do this." I say, "All right." And I'm kind of stuck in this line, and I'm standing in the restroom line behind Paul Horning. And he was doing color on their radio. And
Clemson
was funny.
Was 7-1-1 and ranked 15th in the nation entering the 77 game.
Man.
While Notre Dame was 7-1 and ranked 5th. This is the first meeting of top 15 teams in the history of Memorial Stadium, which we have another top 15 matchup Saturday night. This is the most interesting thing to me about this entire game, and I went to a 1-hour basketball practice yesterday and actually talked to Tim a little bit about this. This day would see the greatest collection of players in Memorial Stadium in the history of the facility. Looking back at the rosters of the two teams shows that 36 players went on to play in the National Football League, and they combined to collect 14 Super Bowl championship rings.
Holy smoke.
7 players between the two teams would be first-round draft choices, and 18 players would go on to be selected as All-Americans by the end of their careers. And Tim said his research was that, Notre Dame may have put more into the NFL, but Clemson's group played longer in the NFL. Clemson had it was in double digits, played 5 years long or longer in the National Football League.
Dwight Clark is
19 of Notre Dame's 22 starters were eventually drafted by the National Football League. And that does not include Vegas Ferguson, who was Notre Dame's top rusher that day, but came off the bench for senior Terry Urick. 9 of Clemson's 22 starters would go on to play at least 5 years in the NFL. More NFL 5-year vets than Notre Dame had among its starters.
And Tim's going to...
The list of players from Clemson include offensive linemen Joe Bostic and Jeff Bostic.
Know them, yes.
Who went on to play a combined 24 years and 316 games in the NFL.
And win 3 Super Bowls for Jeff.
Notre Dame featured tight end Ken McAfee, defensive end Ross Browner, who are now both in the College Football Hall of Fame. All-American linebacker Bob Golick.
Goodness.
And a junior quarterback named Joe Montana.
Yeah, Montana.
Now,
he had
several years ago when I was coming home late from work, Bob Golick had a national show. And I was listening. And somehow this game came up. And he said, I remember the crowd being rough, and but you know what I really remember is that some guy in the student newspaper called us the Golden BB Heads. And so I dialed the phone. And I got through. And I said, Bob, it's Cobb and Anderson, South Carolina. I said, I know buddy yours, Bone Beret. Oh, yeah, Tim Beret, yeah. Everybody knows Tim Beret. And I said, and number 2, I'm the guy that called y'all the Golden BB.
Is that right? I did not know that. Yeah.
I was a freshman. I was the sports staff on the student paper.
Yeah, okay.
And this game, it's bigger because the stadium's now 35,000 bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the ticket being every bit as hot. Maybe not as expensive, but every bit as hot as it is now. People were really, the campus the entire week was buzzing about this game because it was just amazing how it all worked out, how Charlie Pell had engineered this massive turnaround.
Yeah.
I talked to those guys, they were saying, so I had several players that I talked to from that time period said that Pell's most famous line was, I've heard all about what you can't do. I want to know what you can do. And
with all of his fallacies, he was a football coach.
Nobody expected what happened that year, and he did. It was it really kick-started Clemson football.
It really did.
And,
I'd like to throw this in. By the time of this game, Tom Bass was not on the field coaching, but he was still on the Clemson staff. And Tom, who went on to more fame and fortune at Seneca High School, I can remember how downtrodden and almost in tears he was after the game. He wouldn't leave. He just sat in the press box and just wouldn't move. He just couldn't believe it. He had some unnice things to say about Devine.
I don't think a lot of people liked Devine.
They didn't like him. Now, is Devine the guy that followed somebody at? Did he coach at Oklahoma after? Who is the guy that coached at Oklahoma after? Boy, I'm having a senior moment.
Well, that's not unusual.
Well, I know it because I'm a senior. But Bud Wilkinson, he might have. I don't know if he was the guy or not.
Hang on, I'll dial it up.
Okay, and
I don't know. I remember he coached the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah,
and was terrible.
Okay, or maybe that he followed the man at Green Bay, then, didn't he?
He followed Ara Parsegian at
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. He coached. He was an assistant at Michigan State. Then he went to Arizona State for 2 years. He was at Missouri for 12 years. Then he went to the Green Bay Packers from 71 to 74.
And that followed a legend.
He was at Notre Dame from 75 to 80.
Okay.
And then he was an administrator at Missouri, Green Bay, back to Missouri. He was 173, 56, and 9.
That's not a bad record. No.
7-3 in bowl games.
Yeah.
He was 25, 27, and 4 in the National Football League. Let's see.
And we're talking about Bing Devine now.
Right.
Yeah, now I think at Green Bay, he replaced Lombardi. I'm not sure now.
This is Wikipedia.
Okay.
This is Wikipedia.
Yeah.
His lasting achievement came midway through this run when the Fighting Irish won the 77 National Championship, led by junior quarterback Joe Montana. The regular season was highlighted by the Irish's 21-17 come-from-behind win over Clemson at Death Valley, when Devine repeatedly gave the middle finger salute to a raucous home crowd.
Mm-hmm. Walked out on the field and picked up a flag and threw it back down.
The championship season was completed with a convincing 38-10 win in the 78 Cotton Bowl.
And it was ice. That was an ice bowl.
Previously top-ranked Texas, led by Earl Campbell.
Yeah.
He's the one that brought out the green jerseys. And he also put the names on the back of the jersey, something Notre Dame had never done.
Wouldn't do, yeah.
But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be interesting. I'm glad I don't have to work. I'm glad I can just sit there and break it down and analyze it, and I just think it's going to be a real. I'll be disappointed if it's a blowout in either direction. I really will. I'll be surprised. And disappointed. If it is a blowout in either direction, because I just think the teams are full of talented players, and I think it's going to be a magical evening.
Saturday night, Death Valley, 8 o'clock, 8:22 kick thereabout, ABC, and thank you for being with us. We'll be talking to you a little later. Mostly Sports Talk. Thank you.